Hello and welcome to another video. Hopefully this will be the final one to this being squashed or Lazarus game. In the last tutorial, well, the first one we got the character moving, and in the second one we prepared, just get rid of this, we prepared all the little objects. So just open these up again. So we've got all the objects ready and waiting to be added, but we've got to add a feature to select the different boxes and then add them in. Now what we have to do, we have to create objects that will represent what's going to be coming next. So if we can see that a card is coming next or a stone is coming next, that's what's going to happen. So we've got to create those objects, and yes, it's going to be using all the box images, all the box sprites. I have to stop saying images. It's sprites in GameMaker. Sprites. So what we do, we can go to, well, we can go to resources, create object, or click on the ball icon here. I'm going to click on the ball icon and try and get this to move into place. And in this tutorial, we're just going with OBJ, and we'll call this underscore next underscore stone. And as you may have guessed, we're going to use the stone card sprite, and we're going to make sure this is set to a solid, and that's all you have to do. Just make sure it's the next one, that's the right image, and that's a solid, and that's it. And then quickly do the same for all the others. So I'm going to quickly do that now. Bring in the object again, and I'm going to set it to obj underscore next underscore card. Make sure we have the card sprite, and make sure solid is turned on, and then click OK. By now you should be getting into a nice routine with this. Obj underscore next underscore, what we got here, wood, and get the wood sprite, solid, okay, and then finally I believe we have a metal one, which is the final one for me. Doesn't matter which order you do these in, just as long as you get all of them in. So obj underscore next underscore metal, solid. Okay, so very quickly we've got our next sprites at the ready. Now, you'll be very glad to hear that this is it in creating the box objects. That's all we've got to create. We've got the stationary ones, which are the plain ones here. We've got the ones that are actually falling, bringing in the falling action, and the ones displaying which ones are coming up next here. So that's the only set of boxes we have to create. But we do have to create a new object that's going to call up what's showing next, and then from that create the falling one, and then of course when the falling one hits the ground, it's going to change to the stationary one. So we've got, as I say, we create the controller object. Now the lovely thing with the controller object is that it doesn't have to have a sprite. Now this is something we've done in previous tutorials, was we're going to be doing now. So we're going to create an object. I'm going to move it to place about that. When you get into more advanced games, this is one you'll be creating a lot. So this is going to be called helps if I can spell controller. Controller. It does not need a sprite, so you leave that completely alone. It needs to be invisible, so don't add a sprite. But we are going to call up some a step event, because this is going to be checking every millisecond the game's running. So I'm going to add event, this over here, step, so every millisecond the game is running, so that's for 1 second of this, 30 steps are going to occur. So I'm going to check randomly these steps. and we're going to test an instance in the control tab. So click on control here, and there should be one. There we go. We want this object with the ball with 1, 2, 3. So we're going to bring that in, and this is called test instance count. And what we're going to do, we're going to bring in the falling. Let's start with the falling stone. So falling stone object. Leave the number at 0, and we're going to leave the operation equal to. So if there's no stone, go for it. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to do the exact same thing for all the other objects. So we've done the stone. I want to bring one in for the metal one. Click OK, and make sure number 0 equal to, those are default. Go there. We want another one, this time for the wood. 0 equal to. Press OK. And finally, this one should be stone, metal, wood. Oh wait, I gotta double check I got the right ones in a minute. Falling card. 0 equal to. And what I am going to do, because I'm just a bit paranoid, I'm just going to hover over this. So falling stone, falling metal, falling wood, falling card. Yep, I'm quite happy with that, and they're all equal to 0. If you just hover over these long enough, it brings up a little message. There we go, you can see the message there. So I can check that they're all different objects, they're all the falling objects, but they're equal to. This can be really handy sometimes. We're going to include one more test instance, and we're going to set this to our las stand. So bring in object las stand. So you should have 5 of these now, but this time we're going to set the number to 1, and we're going to make sure it's equal to. Okay, so click OK. And now we're going to start our actions. So we need to go into the other section and include the start block. And we're going to bring the change instance to. So that is located in the main 1 tab. And remember this one, change instance to, we've used this one quite a lot. It's one underneath this little light bulb object. So we're going to change the instance of, let's see, next stone to falling stone. So let's have a look, see. So this one's going to be quite different, because in the past we've ever done self or other in the applies to, but this time we're going to be rather different. We're going to say a specific object is going to change into another object. So in object, I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to set it to next stone, and it's going to change it to falling stone. And I do want it to perform its events, which is the falling. So there you go. So it's going to bring up the next one in the bottom corner, and then it's going to change it to the falling stone, which is going to appear at the top and fall down, trying to crush our poor little plum purple character. So I'm going to click OK, and as you've guessed it, I'm going to be creating more of these. So let's get going. So we've got one for our stone. So let's bring in another change instance, and we're going to apply it to a specific object. Remember, applies to object, and we're going to do next card and change this to falling card. Where are we? Falling card. And yes, we want to perform its event. So that's stone and card done. Just keep going until you've got all of them there. So object, and next wood, apply to falling wood, and yes, click OK, and bring finally a 4th one in, object. This will be next metal. And it's going to change to falling metal. Where are we? Falling metal. And yes, perform event. And now finally we need to randomly create these different objects. So to do this, I'm going to bring in, if we go to the objects here, we've got this weird little icon with 3 little light bulbs. This will randomly create different objects. So I'm going to drag this into here, and so I'm going underneath there. So what we can choose for 4 objects. That's pretty handy because we've got them right here. And we can set its X and Y coordinates. So I'm going to set object 1 to next stone. Object 2 can be next metal. Object 3 will be next wood. And object 4 next card. And its Y I'm going to set to 440. So it's going to set it to the top of the stage, a little bit above it, and it's going to randomly spawn each one of these objects. And then once they've spawned, so they're going to appear at the bottom corner, then they're going to spawn at the top, and then randomly fall down. I think it's going to appear here, and then it's going to spawn them down here. But what's going to happen is that it's going to check over here if any of them are currently in the scene. So if we think of this logically, let's press OK to this, it's checking if there's 0 to any of these. If any of these, let's say there's a falling stone falling down in the room, it's not going to create another one of these randomly until that falling one is done, is gone, it's not there. So as long as these top 4 equal to 0 and we've got our object in the room, our Laz object, if these are all true, it will randomly go through these. Okay, so we've got our object down here, it'll spawn, fall, and whilst it's falling, it will not spawn another until it hits the ground and then changes to the static one, which is our null object here. So that's how that works. Now we've got our, one more thing before we finish, we've started a block, we need to put the end on. So I'm going to go to Control Tab, drag in the end block, and then that's it for now with the controller. That should all work. So I'm going to click OK, and to test this all out, I'm going to open up my room. So go to room and open room test by double clicking on it, and then I'm just going to pull this into the area here. Now what I am going to do first of all, I'm going to get rid of these blocks. I'm going to right click and delete, or click and press delete on my, can I press delete on my keyboard or shift delete? No, I don't do that. Don't press shift and delete, so. Oh, delete all objects. Okay, I'm just going to do this the manual way, which is rather annoying. We just want to delete this so it has all these extra blocks I've been using to test the character walking up and down. Get rid of those. There we go. So we've got a nice pit. Now the next thing I want to do, I want to create my controller object. So let's have a check. Have I got it selected? Yes, I do. You can always go into the objects and make sure it's selected. And here's a little drop down menu to select all the different objects. And just put it in the top corner right there. So that's done. Now I can press OK. Remember to save your project. And now give it a test run. So let's click on the little green play button here to test the room. Whoa, okay, so there we go. I just realised I forgot to get rid of one block in the bottom corner here. So, just move it. Crush. So it is crushing the blocks because if we remember, the cardboard cannot beat stone. What are we going next? But that should be able to beat card because card is weaker against metal. So, but metal can't destroy metal. Metal can destroy card and wood. Oh dear, there comes a stone. Ah. Oh dear, I mean it's I'm clearly having too much fun with this. So I'm going to have to go in there and get rid of that little corner one because it is generating it there so I can see what's coming next. But because it's being blocked by this wall here, I can't see it, so it's destroying my lovely game. So, squashed. Your history, better luck next time. Why is that? I'll have to see how to fix that bit there. So, going to the test room, and I'm going to go to the bottom corner. I believe it's delete that one. Press OK, and let's test it again. Always good to test and retest, and so you can see even I forget to do things. There we go, so I can see what's coming next. So that one. Okay. There's a wood one coming. A cardboard. Then a cardboard falls. So stone's coming, so that should crush everything. Oop, move. That should crush cardboard. Got another wooden one. Oh, got this one coming. I can't move. Oh, must fall. Got no stone one, so that's going to crush this metal one here. I got Mr. Cardboard. Another stone. So there you go. You're building up your game really nicely. I'm trying to get to the top here. Is it possible? Pretty sure it is. Oh dear. Oh, lucky. Ooh. You really fast and bypass this. That's quite interesting. Uh-oh. I'm stuck now. Squished. So, okay, so I'll get out of that. So that's working really nicely. So you've got the basics of the game there. And it should be working really nicely. One thing I will do though, there's Object Life Squished. I'm just going to go into here and change the display message. Should be able to allow me to create. Let's try that. Unless I changed it for Studio as opposed to Game Maker 8, which if you had a hash, it would allow you to have a new line. No, I'm going to take the hash out then, so that's not working. Not to worry. You can always Google it, so I'll probably put in the description once I figure out how to create a new line. So get rid of that. Just press OK and OK. Test it again. And just allow myself to be squished. I know that fully works. Squished. Yeah, that's pretty okay. So what we're going to do next, you may have noticed if we take a look in our sprites, with Laz, we've got this animation of him being afraid. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to create, we're going to check if there's any collisions happening. So when he's trapped, when he's got nowhere to go, he's going to look very afraid, and then he's going to get squished. So this is when he has no way out. So we've got to reopen the Laz object. So I'm going to double click on Laz stand and just tweak this so it, oh, not doing that. I hate when this happens. You see in previous videos sometimes snaps in place, but for some reason it's not doing it here. I'll actually move that there. There we go, I've got a bit more space to work with. So we've already got Laz stand, and in the step event it's asking if there's a collision free. So what we're going to do, we're going to add in a check collision. This is going to check if there is another collision. So this is in the control tab down here, and we're looking for this second icon here, which is check collisions, a little arrow pointing at a line. So I'm going to bring that in there, and if you're wondering how I'm bringing it instantly, I'm right clicking it on the symbol here and it brings up the window here and places it instantly. So just checking that there. So what we're going to do, we're going to set X to 40 and solid only, and I'm also going to leave relative on, so relative to itself, and click OK. So let's go check if there's any boxes to the right of our character, and we're going to include 3 more of these, so we have 4 check collisions altogether. So this one, again, leave it itself. We're going to set X to 40 and then Y to minus 40. Leave solid and relative to our current position. That's got to be ticked. And click OK. So this is checking diagonal right. Bring in another one. This one's going to be minus 40 on X and on Y. So that's minus 40. Relative ticked. Click OK. And one final one. And this one is going to be minus 40 on X only. Leave Y at 0. So that will check it on the left hand side. So relative ticked, make sure that's okay. So we've got 4 of these checking, and now we've got to tell it to change the sprite for us. So I'm going to go into main 1 tab, and we've got this little Pac-Man icon. Now this may look familiar because we use this little Pac-Man icon for when we're creating a sprite. What this will do, it'll just change what we've got into a different sprite, but it's going to still play the action. So we don't have to make a new object, we don't have to do any of that, it's just going to do it for us. So I'm going to bring that in, and it's going to change itself into the, where are we? Where's that? Then there's the afraid one. And subimage 0, well, yeah, we'll just leave the speed at 1. So leave it like that and press OK. And that's all you have to do to that. Oh, before we test this, we just got to move the afraid sprite to the very top. So I'm just selecting it with my mouse, then clicking and dragging it, and I could drag it to the very top. Now press OK, save your game, and give it a test run. Now this might be a bit tricky. I'm going to have to purposely trap my sprite. So there it is. Oh, you say, oh dear, oh, I'm afraid. Yay, I'm safe. I'm not liking that he's constantly afraid, so I might actually play around with this. He should just be afraid when he's being squished. That's not quite right, actually. So let's have a look and see if we can tweak this up a bit. So let's move this down here to change it to there. just going to click OK. So change the jump one to the third one down. I think that will do the trick. No, it's not doing it. Okay, get rid of that. Let's see. Just checking. Sometimes it happens. You could leave it like that if you don't mind, but I'm just going to see what happens if I move this to the bottom here. Or do I need to put one for each one of these? That's the funny thing with these games, that you can make them and everything. So yeah, he's happy. So I'm just going to try and build up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ah! There we go. So yeah, in the instructions it tells you to move the sprite to the top, but I kind of like the fact that it only plays it after all these are correct. So you could move it at the top so he's constantly afraid, but I want him to really see fear when he's got nowhere to go. So I want it to bring up that afraid one after all these conditions are true. So if there are objects next to it and on the top left and right side, so he's got nowhere to go, play the afraid one. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm tweaking up the actual tutorial a little bit, which does tell you to move it to the top, but I think mine's better. Now, one thing you want to do, we're going to set this up so if you want to create different levels for your game, it will go to the next level, or it will just simply stick on the current level. So we're going to create a new button object as something for your character to jump to or build the blocks up to, as you saw in the examples. So we're going to create a new sprite. So I'm going to click on this Pac-Man icon here, this green Pac-Man, and that'll need to create a sprite. So SPR underscore button. Let's move this up here so you can see. Load sprite, and where are we? There we go, button, the stop button. So we're going to stop the machines from throwing all these boxes all over our poor Laz object. So there we go. And note, don't leave it as 0, 0. We want to leave it there. That's absolutely fine. Click OK. And now we're going to create the object. So create an object by clicking on this green ball here. Don't know why this is not very annoying. Move that there. And this one is going to be obj underscore button. Nice and simple. Bring in the button sprite. And we're going to set this depth of 10. Going to be right at the front, so that it can appear behind other objects if we want it to, but that's okay. Now, if you're following the book, it tells you to add a sleep event, but unfortunately we don't have that. So what I'm going to do instead, we're going to use the alarm. So first of all, we've got to get it to trigger the alarm. So I'm going to add event. And we want, when Laz collides with this, we trigger our alarm. So collision, Laz stand. And then what we're going to do, we're going to bring an alarm event. The alarm event, I believe, is under, no, not control. Yeah, there it is. Under main 2 tab, in timing here, we have this green clock icon. Bring it in to set your alarm. And I'm going to set my alarm here to 0. Now, I have tried using steps before, but it really doesn't work. But one thing that has worked is setting the room time. Now, this room is going at 30 steps a second, which you can tell by going into... Oops, cancel that for now. going into the room and settings, and here we go, steps 30. So 1 second is equal to 30 frames or 30 steps. Let's bring this back up. So if we wanted to go 1 second, it'd be 30, 2 seconds, it'd be 60, 3, 90, and every other multiple from 30. But that doesn't seem, from the tests I've done, that doesn't seem to work so well. So there is a line of code we can use. So you want to type in room underscore speed, not that, there we go, times by 1. So what that is 1 second's worth. So this room speed is what the room is, 30, times by 1. And this is quite handy if you do it this way, because let's say you go back and you change your speed, then you're going to have to do calculations and change it for all the actions that use speed and things like that. So we don't want that. So this will give us a bit of a pause, and I'm going to just say OK. But now we've got to say what actually happens in the alarm. So we go to Add Event, Alarm, Alarm 0. Make sure you're aware of all your different alarms that are going off here. So now we've got to include like a next room event. So in main 1 tab here, I'm going to add check next. So what this is going to do is check if there is a next room. So if next room exists, that's nice and clear there. Go to the next room. So just go to the next room. But what if we don't have a next room? Okay, that's where we start saying the else condition. So if room exists, go to next room. But what if we don't? Go on the control tab, and there should, here we go, an other else. So that means that if it's not there, we've got a plan B, the alternative. And we're going to start in a block. And what I want to do, I want to display a nice message. So that will be in main 1. Nope, not main 1. Here we go, main 2 tab. We want the info, which is display message. And in here, I'm going to just type in capitals, because we're going to shout it out. Congratulations. Exclamation mark. You have completed the game. There you go, nice big message there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get it to start from my first room. So we're going to go back into main 2. Was it main? Nope, main 1. Sorry, getting mixed up. And we're going to go in the rooms, the third icon, which, oh, not restart, sorry. Yeah, we want the 4th one, so that's second row, last one here, different room. I'm going to drag that in, and I'm going to just say specifically the room test, which is the only room we have at the moment. So if you wanted to add in different rooms, this will go back to the beginning. So I'm going to click OK, then Control Tab, and end my block there. So there we go. So if we go through this, it's going to check if a next room exists. At the moment it doesn't, but handy when you do create rooms. It'll go to the next room, but if we don't have a next room, it'll just start this one up again. So this is really handy when you want to create rooms, if you want to create them. And also, a nice title really helps out. So I'm going to click OK to this. That button is done nicely. And yeah, we're going to also create a start room, and then we're going to throw all this stuff into the room. So I'm going to create a new sprite, and this sprite will be called SPR underscore title load sprite, and we want the title icon there. Click open, leave it at 00, doesn't really matter. Click OK, and I'm going to bring in an object, and I'm going to call this obj underscore start, because it's the start of this. Bring in my title sprite. So in sprites, it's going to be a title sprite. Just like the button, we're going to also bring up a millisecond event. So I'm just going to move this a little bit so you can see. Actually, I'll make this a bit smaller. Oh, it's snapping now. Weird. But anyway, we add event, create, and then we're going to start up our alarm, which is in, is it main 2? Yes, main 2 tab. Bring in the set alarm, and like we did before, like I explained, we're going to do room underscore speed, and I'm going to set this to times. When I say times, you can press Shift and 8, the little star icon, and then 2. I want this to be 2 seconds, and I'm going to set this to alarm 1, because we had alarm 0 in our button icon there. So we'll click OK. So now I've got to set up my alarm 1, so I'm going to go add event, alarm, alarm 1. And in here, I'm going to change this into the controller. You'll see, this will make sense. Trust me with this. So, main 1 tab, and we look down. We want the change instance, which is this gray arrow green block. We use this one a lot. We're going to change itself to the controller. So, object underscore controller. Perform events, we'll leave it at that, it's going to do it anyway, and click OK. And that's all you got to do with that. So now we can go into our room and edit things. So open up your room by double clicking on it. I'm just going to move this into here. You probably hear my dog, he's fast asleep in the background there. He had a lovely trip to the vet today. I say lovely. So first off, we're going to delete our object here, and I'm actually going to delete a few boxes here. So just delete about 4 of those, and I'll do the other side as well. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to place my icon up here. So I'm going to go into, scroll down a bit into the objects. Hopefully you don't have to scroll, it's just that the size of my screen is really, really small, so I'm going to have to. And I click on this icon here, which gives me a drop-down menu of all the things I've created. And go to Object Button and just draw in my button on this side and the next. So I should have ones on either side there. And finally, I'm going to bring in my start object. I'm going to put that about there at the start. So you can see it sits nicely at the start there. You just click on it and move it if you don't like it, but I'm pretty happy with it there. Yeah, that's quite good actually. You can always see it on the little preview down in the corner here, which is really handy as well. And that's what we're going to do there. And also, I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to play this legit. So I'm going to press OK, save, and let's give it a test run. It should work. So we should be getting the title, and then a few seconds wait, or 2 seconds. 1, 2. There we go. So let's go to this one here. I'm going to try and play this legit. It's getting a bit nervous there. Ooh, yeah. You see the nervous and he's a bit nervous. Oh, there we go. The timer was a bit there, but yeah, it does work. It just took a while for it to respond there. It should be. You could reduce it if you wanted to 0.5 or less than 5, but no, it works. It just takes a split second before it kicks in. So yeah, it does work. I could play the game again. So there we go. That's not bad at all. So finally, to really bring this game, we've got all the mechanics in there. It restarts, it plays, it can play additional rooms, but we are missing sound and also background to this. So that's the very final thing we're going to add to this, which will finish off our game beautifully. So I'm going to add some sound, so I can go to resources and create sound. Now, if any of you are using a different version of GameMaker Studio to me, you might have a window that's completely different to this. I would say if you do, just press OK. Just as long as you've got sound in there, it should do the trick. So my sound will be music, and I am going to set this as background sound because I've got the option here. If you don't, do not worry, just ignore it and press OK. Oh, actually it helps if I load the sound in there. I was jumping ahead there. So should be a window popping up, and I can have music. And click. Yep, that's okay. And I'm going to click on this icon here, which will allow me to create my sound. I'm just very quickly going to add some sounds, and that is my dog snoring in the background. He's fallen asleep. So there. So I'm just going to add all this sounds in here. I'm just going to do this as quickly as I can, because once you get used to this, it's just a case of just adding them in there. Oop. And oh, perhaps I could spell. There we go. Often handy. Though with GameMaker, it doesn't matter if you can't spell, because you know, it goes on whatever, you know, as I've demonstrated with the OBJ instead of saying the full word object. You could have it as just O, or you could purposely misspell it. It really doesn't matter. Now I finally got lots of sounds here. Underscore move. And move. There we go. So we should have one background music and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regular sounds there. So we've got all those created. So we are going to use the play sound icon. So we're going to start off with the background music, which I think would be a good to add to the controller, so that we start our game. Controller's a good place to put your background music. So I'm going to double click on controller, move it into place, and add event, other, game start. So when the game starts, it's going to start playing my music. So we're going to just move this aside, main 1 tab, and then we've got sounds, so play sound. I'm going to set this one to music, and I want it to loop, it's true. Okay, so there's that one done. So we're going to also add in the crushed one. So I'm going to open up my, I'm going to open up from the, where is it? I'm going to have to open up all my falling objects. Sorry, I'm reading the tutorial here. So, yeah, here we go. You're going to have to open up all your falling ones. And what we are going to do, we're going to add sounds to each one of the falling objects. So it changes into its stationary object here. So what I am going to do when it collides with the wall is going to play the wall sound, and with the other object it's going to play its crush sound. So our wall, I'm going to go to main 1, drag in the play sound event and set it to wall, click OK. By clicking OK, we make sure the loop is at false. It should be that by default. And then just very quickly do the same with the others. So this one is going to be crushed. And since I know this is going to be the same for the others, I can actually right click and copy it and just paste it in there. Okay, just going to do the same here. I'm going to go for the other cards here. Doesn't matter which order this goes in, to be honest, but I'm just being very particular here. And this one is going to have the wall sound, so I'm going to do this manually. Click OK. And just ever so quickly just do this. I am doing this very quick, so remember, because I've pasted the crush sound, I can double check it is crush. It's right there. So you just paste it into all the other ones except wall. You leave Laz and created alone. That's absolutely fine. Click OK. And just remember with wall, it needs to have the wall sound, not the crushed one. I suppose you could have the crushed one, but I kind of like having a bit of differentiation in there. Just makes the game, I don't know, that more complicated. That, you know, just that extra touch really makes a key difference. So my final one, which is, oh, I'm next here. Just double check. Card has sounds. Okay. Wood has sounds. So I must have been in automatic mode there. Yep. Metal, the stone. Yep, stone has sounds as well, so that's brilliant. So that's the cardboard created, and we're also going to add a squished sound for our character when he's being squashed. So we're going to open up his squished object. So double click on object Laz squished. And at end animation, I want to, let's have a look. I'm going to add with this one a create event. So add event, create, and we're just simply going to have his sound. So when he's created, he's going to play his squish sound. So it's going to splat there. And also make sure you've got false set on loop. So that's done. And we've also got a move sound as well, so we're going to be adding that in as well. So we're going to have to go into the right jump, left jump, and add very quickly add event create, and main 1 tab, sound, move. Okay, and I'm going to right click on this one and copy it, because I'm going to be pasting it into these other ones after I make a create event. So add event, create, and paste. Just double click on right and add event, create, right click and paste, or Control and V, and OK. And the jump, add event, create, right click and paste. There we go, that was done rather painlessly. And finally we have a button sound, so we're going to add that to our buttons. So we're going to double click on button, and when our character does collide with it, it's going to play the sound. So we're going to main one, sound, and finally, I'm just going to right click here, oops, smooth out that so you can see it, sound, button, loop false, and that's it for sounds. And finally, we're going to have the background. So I'm going to go to resources, create background, and I'm just going to call this background, well, BG, so background underscore room. Load background, and we've got background object there, open, and just click OK. Double click on room test, and in here I'm going to go to settings, or actually backgrounds, sorry, click on backgrounds, and I have to scroll. Hopefully you don't have to if you've got a big enough screen. And we've got no background. That's not correct. I want to click on this guy and set to BG underscore room. We've got this nice background there. I can click OK, save, and that should be it. That should be your game. Now, if you want to create different levels and such, you can do that. You can also, if you wanted to, go into game information and give instructions on what's needed to be done. But you know what? I'm gonna play the game. I've worked hard on this. I can play it. I'm gonna have fun here. And oh dear. Oh, it's converting the music, so I've got to wait now. After adding all that music, it's got to have to convert it. So there we go, we got done, 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 and there were 6 of these, so done, done, there we go. Now I can play my game. Come on, I want to test my game and see if it works. So there we go. Oh cool, I don't hear my music. Yeah. Cool, it's playing that, but for some reason it's not playing my background music, which is rather annoying. This is quite cool, actually. I'm enjoying this. Uh-oh. I'm stuck. No, I'm not. Now I'm gonna wait till I get squished. That's an awesome sound. So, yeah, my background's not playing, so let's have a look in controller. Let's see what's happening here. So, I'm going to change this event and see if I can... I'm going to change this to room start instead and just see if room start play music. Okay, and one thing you can do, especially if you've got headphones, is double click on your music and see if you've got a little play button. If you do, you can play it and just see if it works. And Game Maker's having a bit of a hissy fit in the moment trying to play this, but it should work. I know I'm going to be bothered. That is a very creepy noise. So what I'm going to do I'm going to turn my volume down a bit and actually unplug my headphones. There we go. So let's see if that works. Save. Always good to save. I should be recommending you save as different versions, so Lazarus 1, Lazarus 2, but don't worry for this. Okay. Okay, my music's still not playing. Okay. That's a good sound. So what I think I will do... Okay. I'm going to go into controller and I'm going to delete room start from here. And yeah, let's remove that event. I'm thinking of adding it to the start. I think I'll add it to my button. And add event, other... Let's see, room start, and let's add in tab 1, music, true, okay, let's see if that works. I was going to think of adding it to the title screen, but that doesn't happen every single room, so... Whoa. That is really loud, so... There we go. So I died. Sorry about how loud this is, so... There we go, that is a really creepy background music for this. There we go. That's it, I can play my game now. You've earned the right to play this. So now, you have to go with the music if you're playing this game. So there you go. You've created your Lazarus game with random objects that crush each other and everything. You've created this. Enjoy it. I know I am. So, there's another stone block. Ah! Oh no! I'll start all the way down here. That's really not great. Oh no, don't crush. No, don't crush all those. That's not good. Oh, I hate these objects and how they can crush each other. There. Oh no, stop crushing that. Oh, so annoying. Yes! Go! Wait! Oh, I just have to do it again. Yeah, you have to watch out for that timing. You could change that, I suppose, so that you don't have the timing. I'm cheating a little bit. But yeah, this is the game. You've created this. And now you get to sit here and watch me play it. As your punishment. You could create cheats and things like that if you wanted, but... Yes! I completed the game. Huzzah! And there you go! I would suggest now, to really get into this, I want to see you guys create another level where you've got the blocks in different places, or is it in the middle, is it in a circle? Go crazy. I want you guys to really go for this. I'm just going to sit here and sway with it. So, hopefully you enjoyed this, and keep watch out for more tutorials and more tips on how to use GameMaker Studio.